Hello everyone. So in the last video we talked about prefetching, but in this video, continuing from the same video again, let's talk about the initial and placeholder query data. Let me just take you back to my screen. So what is the initial and the placeholder query data? As the name suggests, it is the initial data which you want to show to the user screen. So as soon as, if you can see in the current example, as soon as I load, it shows the loading all post and then the data. But if you want to show some initial data, then this initial data comes handy. So if let's go to our VS Code, and what we do is right now, in the same user query which we have used here, what we do is we write the initial data. So currently I'm passing initial data of ID1. So since here we are passing the ID and then we are loading the title. So what I am doing here is I am passing in initial data with ID1, and then I am passing the some initial data. Now what I do is, just to show you, I make the network tab to slow 3G, and now if I reload it, instead of all loading screen, you will see the initial data which we have set. Let me make it fast 3G. As you can see, just for a millisecond, instead of all loading, you were seeing some initial data. But one thing to note here is whenever you show this initial data, that time this data are persisted to the cache. So when I say this, like if I reload now, this, if you can see this data tab, by default there is one data which comes and then it makes 10 items. See, 1 items and then 10 items. So if you don't want this to happen and you don't want to show, like you don't want to load this in the cache, then the next option what we have is called placeholder data. So this works same like initial data, but instead this time it doesn't load in the, it doesn't persist in the cache. Now if I reload now, as you can see, it showed null and then it shows 10 items. To show you more clearly, I make it to 3G and then I load it. As you can see, null, and then it shows all the 10 items. So this is what the persistent and the initial and the placeholder data is. But let's say if you want to load your placeholder data from the cache, then from the last example which I showed you, instead of writing it like this, you can write it like this. So here you can always get the query data as from the last video. If you remember, I told that this is useful to get a cache from cache value, and then you can provide the initial data. But let's say and this can be used same for the initial data also. So it doesn't matter that it is only for placeholder data. So you can use it same for the placeholder data and same for the this. And let's say if you want to have a memorization function, then also this is workable. So you can always provide a memorization function to placeholder data and initial data. Instead of writing like this, we can write it like this. So you can provide the user memo and you can just provide some initial placeholder data. So we define a top here, and then we provide the placeholder data here. So you can you are free to do this method also. So I hope you get the point. So the difference between the initial data and placeholder data. So placeholder data is really useful for initial previewing of, let's say, a blog page or something else. So I hope you like this video. If you have any doubts, feel free to connect. And yeah, let's see you in my next video. Thank you.